Hi, welcome back to Love of Writing. I want to talk today about double negatives. And a negative is just any sentence, or actually it's a word, like no or not. Any word that gives you that no answer. So even a contraction with not, like can't, won't, isn't, don't, those are all negative words. So when you're in school, you usually learn don't write a double negative, but we're going to talk about that because it's kind of slipped into colloquial language and people use double negatives, and there are times when you can use them effectively. So my sentence starts, I ain't got no problem. So we're going to kind of break this down. The double negatives are, and ain't is kind of a, I only use this because this feels like more of an authentic way somebody might speak versus what I'm going to turn this into, because we're going to kind of alter this a bit. So it's kind of a contraction of sort of am not, is not, sort of ish. But we're going to turn that into, so that this not and this no are the two negatives in the sentence, so it's a double negative. So we're going to actually turn this into don't. And just for the easiness, and if you're thinking of the way people speak in a more proper manner, we're going to turn this got into have. So I don't have no problem. So the don't is obviously a do not, and that's our double negative, the don't, the not, and the no. So we have a double negative. And what double negatives do, the same thing as in math, when you have a problem, an equation where you have two negatives together, they cancel each other out and become positive. So, same with double negatives in a sentence. They cancel each other out and become positive. So instead of saying, this person is basically saying with this sentence that I do not have a problem. That's what they're saying. And we're going to get there. But literally, the literal literary meaning of I ain't got no problem is I don't have no problem. So I don't have no problem, meaning kind of zero. So in essence, by saying that, they're saying, I do have a problem. Yes, I do have a problem. That's the literal literary meaning. When you use a double negative, it actually flips it to something that you probably don't mean. So, but however, since, as I said, it slipped into colloquial language and it's kind of become acceptable to use double negatives, especially when you take into consideration someone's tone and inflection, the way they're speaking it, we know what they mean. We know what they mean. So this no actually transforms, it morphs into a different part of speech. So that no kind of becomes like an a or an any, and the a is like an indefinite article. Any is what's called a determiner. So the sentence becomes, I do, oopsie, we'll just say I don't. I don't have a problem. So this no kind of transforms when we mean it in a colloquial sense, meaning the way we tend to speak in any situation. And so many things that are sort of considered incorrect have become acceptable. So the I ain't got no problem, you're actually saying I don't have no problem. So that means you have a problem. So that's how we're changing it. When you mean it in a double negative, that no is meant in a different way. It means I don't have a problem, or I don't have any problem. So double negatives are kind of wild and cool. They're like rogue sentences. So you can also use double negatives in this way. And you can use that minus minus plus plus thing, and it'll mean the opposite, or actually it'll mean what it literally means. So in this sentence, do you know the answer? Let's say that's the question, and somebody says, I do not know. Now, obviously, clearly, it's not a double negative. We're just saying, basically, no, I do not know the answer. So, the double negative is, I don't not know. And if you want to be kind of cheeky, and instead of just answering the question with, yes, I know the answer, you can be cheeky and say, I don't not know. And you can hear by my inflection that, I'm just trying to kind of tease and say, not, and not, which cancel each other out. So this actually does mean you're using the double negative in the way it's in the literal sense. So you are saying, yes, I do know the answer. So this one says no, this one says yes. So the double negatives in that colloquial sense with the other sentence flips it to mean what it is literally not saying. Versus that second example, you're going with the literal sense, and that's exactly what it means. So instances where you would or maybe would not want to use double negatives, since it is considered informal, you would probably, let's see, in a scholarly or in an educational sense, like at school and writing in a paper, you would probably not want to use a double negative because it is seen as informal, and you would just use it more like with your friends or out when you're talking, and not in a paper. And it's, even though it is sort of technically considered incorrect, like I said, people get it. They understand what you mean, which is communication. But it's not preferred in a scholarly, professional, or literary sense. And then, so like I said, you would not probably want to use it in a job interview. You would want to be more formal. But if you're writing something, absolutely you can have a character that speaks like that. So in fiction, you can use it in your dialogue to establish the mode of communication for certain characters. And then also, if you're quoting someone, like in a story that's not fiction, maybe it's nonfiction, it's a newspaper article, but you're quoting someone and they use a double negative, you might want to, you're able to use it that way. So that is pretty much the long and short of double negatives. So use them wisely.